Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to the Pain Clinic for December 6th. That's right. We are in December, the last month of the year. Hallelujah. We made it through 2025. The world hasn't ended yet. Yet, I say. Welcome to the show. Bar today, holidays today, Bartenders Appreciation Day, of course. Isn't that every day? St. Nicholas Day, Mitten Tree Day, and Put on Your Own Shoe Day, or Your Own Shoes Day. There's no birthdays today, so if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Hey, interested in roller derby, want to be a skater, officiate Rock City Roller Derby, needs you, contact recruitment at rockderbyrecruitment@gmail.com and join Rock City Roller Derby. Right now, oh, geez, I didn't. It's only me so far. Hey, I'm the Cashman. I'm your humble host. We got things to talk about today. Some big announcements. We have TNA had made a big announcement earlier in the week, and then Netflix made one towards the end of the week. But we had some shows in the last couple of days, including last night's TNA's Final Resolution. We've got Ring of Honor's Final Battle last night as well. NXT Deadline this weekend, and we know who Cena will be taking on in his last match a week from today and some other things. So, welcome to the show. I'm the Cashman, your humble host. I am banking on. I know that DC's not here, but I don't know if Rob Sanderson is. If not, it's going to be a quick show. But let me talk about some of the big news this week so far. We'll jump right into it right off the bat. I don't know what's the biggest news. I'll just say the TNA. I'll announce the TNA stuff first. TNA made an announcement this past Tuesday. They and the AMC networks announced a multi-year agreement to bring TNA's flagship weekly television show. That's right, Thursday Night Impact to AMC. AMC, I believe, is 34 on Spectrum Cable here in Rochester. Very big improvement over Access TV. Now, listen, Access TV, they were there for quite a long time, and Access TV it was wonderful, but they, just a limited audience. You have to pay extra. It's an extra tier on your cable bill. So, with them moving to AMC, which will be starting January 15th, which is great news. Wait a second. I'm going to add a co host here in a second. But I think we will. Thank goodness we're just getting into the first topic here, Rob. But we are joined by Rob Sanderson, joining us from Parts Unknown Rochester. Rob, thank you for making it. I know he's just getting connected now, so there you are.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I
Parts unknown. I'm so sleepy this morning. I don't even know where I am.
Parts Unknown. He's someplace. I could be in the living room. I could be in my bedroom. I could be anywhere. Parts are unknown. No, that's a bad joke. But so I was started off with the big news right off the bat, and I'm doing it chronologically from this past week. So that would be the AMC networks and TNA wrestling news. I was just getting into the details a little bit. They start their first episode will be Thursday, January 15th. And this will be live from the Curtis Colwell Center in Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, and that will be the first. It's a multi-year deal. Like I was saying before you came on, Rob, that this takes them away from the very limiting Access TV view to the AMC, which if you're a fan of like The Walking Dead or some other shows like Mad Men was on AMC as well. The AMC is pretty big.
Hold on. You're not mentioning the best AMC show,
What's that?
Breaking Bad.
Pardon me, Breaking Bad. Most of these aren't on there anymore, but they find ways to have like marathons still of these shows. And I think even The Walking Dead, I think might be done though. There's like some offshoots from it and everything, but
Can you really be done with The Walking Dead? Isn't it all about like dying but not going away?
yeah, pretty much. And then, well,
So
then they just change the title to somebody else's Walking Dead Diaries or something, But
I have never seen that show. There's a lot of very popular shows that I have yet to ever see, but maybe someday.
yeah, I'll tell you, it's well written. So if you enjoy well written stuff, Walking Dead's well written. It kind of dragged on a little bit, towards the end, especially when they were losing, like, say, their big stars of the show. But AMC. So, Rob, what do you think? TNA moving to some place where people can see them a bit more. I mean, it's always a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, TNA has been how many, what number chapter is this for them? TV deals and
Yeah. Oh
you know,
my gosh.
maybe they're done and then they get revived and then like I mean they have
Were they on the Travel Channel for a while? They're on something like that. It was
Discovery America, was that the
That's
thing?
what it was. You're right. Discovery America.
Um yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, it's good. And I mean I think that overwhelmingly, you know, most people who watch wrestling are happy for TNA to get this. Um, hopefully they take full advantage of it. And, you know, it's certainly, I don't know if I've always put too much worth in like the conversation about like, oh, well, this channel's in this many homes and this channel's in this many. This is specifically something that like it's very rare, I feel like, to have access to Access TV these days. So this is a huge deal. And like to me, it doesn't matter if it's AMC or anything else that is known that we've any other three letters that we've heard of that are actually available, whether that's a local cable, whether that's YouTube TV, whatever. I mean, it's something that people have actually heard of, so it's a huge deal. Um, I don't think that's a channel that I ever really turn on, but I know I have it, and I know it's going to be a lot easier to watch than Access TV. So I think it's a huge deal. Obviously, I think you know the partnership with WWE certainly helped them get to this point quite a bit. Um, and now, I mean, this is a big opportunity that they need to take full advantage of, and they're always riding this wave of like, oh, they've got all this momentum, and now they're shooting themselves in the foot and back and forth or whatever. And so hopefully their next month is preparing to really make it a big deal.
Yeah. On this week's Impact, in fact, they had this giant video package to start the show with a big announcement on it and everything. And it was obviously very exciting. But, the question is, what does it have to change to, does anything have to change? I mean, will WWE still be, helping them with talents or whatever they consider what they're doing and start help loaning out their talents during the shows and crisscrossing. A lot of people thought once that starts, this is over, but I guess we will find out. But I mean,
I don't see why it would. I
yeah, the
mean,
first thing I heard was oh, AJ Styles, we got to have him on. They've always AJ Styles was a big factor with TNA for many many years. He was like the John Cena of TNA. I mean, and when he left, it was really, I mean, I didn't know what to think was going to happen with the company when he left because he was the guy, and yeah, they had a lot of other guys that are very popular, but nobody was homegrown like he was. I mean, nevertheless, I know he's turned down going into the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he'll have any say about this, but they want him to wrestle on the very first show. So I guess we'll find out what happens in a couple of weeks or we got a month, I think, a month from now. So, but I think it's great news. To me, it's a bigger financial burden on TNA just because they use so many people who have contracts that allow them to do so, work other places, all the time. And so that means when you lock down talent like that, it costs you money. Not to say that people were working everywhere, but they are, they work, I mean, obviously AEW guys work a lot of places too, but they have to most of the time get permission. But TNA, I think when suddenly, you're in a higher profile place, more people are going to see you. It's like, you wonder how does that affect what we're seeing on TV now. I mean, I do watch TNA Impact or most every week, or I tape it at least and then watch it back. And I mean, I think it's great news and everything. They got a great announcing crew. They already are starting to feature some their announcing crew in like advertisements for their debut. So I think they've known this has going to happen for a while, and obviously, yeah, I think it does. The question is that they're at full sale all the time. Is that still going to be an issue? Are they going to have to travel more? I wonder if it's going to change anything on how because they're a smaller company and this kind of makes them a bit bigger. Uh, I don't know. What do you think? You think that, I mean, Rob, you kind of, you obviously have been on the indies for quite a while and seen a lot of these guys that can float around between, like, for instance, Mike Santana. You had him 2 times 2 weeks ago, you know?
Mm.
I mean, this is a guy I would see getting locked down and not being able to do anything or show up at any place else, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Do you think it'll change much in their business, the way they do business?
So, I can say for sure that I have had discussions with people this week about how this could potentially impact the booking rates of talent for indie shows. People who, not necessarily the top stars, but the mid card guys and girls who, have pretty reasonable rates. And will this exposure change things? And my immediate answer in that conversation was, I understand the concern potentially from bookers, but there are a lot of people who have not seen TNA in a long time, aside from maybe like YouTube clips popping up, social media, whatever. They haven't been able to actually watch the show. They're not gonna just shell out the money for TNA Plus or whatever. So they aren't very familiar with the people on that roster who have not worked TV elsewhere. Those people, thinking about a lot of people that we've had in here and there in ESW, for example, over the years that um, you know I don't know. I hate to name anybody specifically, but like um, one of the people who came in recently to an ESW show is Jason Hotch. And I'll be honest, at that point, my familiarity with him was fairly limited. I had seen him a little bit and knew kind of his background and stuff, but I didn't really know him that well. He came in, had an absolute banger of match, was great. Um, but I don't know if he necessarily had the drawing power in Western New York from people who had seen him on TNA, even though he had been on TNA TV quite a bit at that point. Now, if somebody like him, that's not necessarily a main eventer, but has the exposure of being on AMC, now they're a recognizable face to a lot more people when their name or their face is on a poster, that it could generate more ticket sales and things like that. I think it really helps that category of workers. So it's not, um, there are, I guess, from a business side, there would be pros and cons on that. I don't necessarily see this impacting TNA's schedule much, which is a factor, and I can say for certain that it's obviously a factor for a lot of promoters in terms of booking dates and stuff, trying to avoid the TNA weekends. I know for example the next ESW show is the same weekend as what is basically week 2 of TNA with AMC. They're in Albuquerque that weekend, and so there are certain people that I believe will not be available for us to have that weekend because of that. But I mean, that's not always the case. The TNA schedule is very favorable to people being able to be under a contract there and still get a lot other work throughout the month. When they do these tapings 2 or 3 days in a row and then they don't see each other again for another month or a few weeks or whatever it is. So I think a lot of things will stay the same, but I do think the exposure will help. But I think if you're somebody on that roster, you're pretty happy right now because a lot of them are going into contract negotiations right now. A lot of them are going to have bigger names automatically the first time they show up on AMC. I mean, even right now, putting out their social media graphics with the AMC logo on it helps and stuff. And they're going to be able to charge a little more too. So, and they're going to be more valuable to the indie companies that are looking to book them and stuff. So I think it's a win across the board. I mean, also it's still Thursday nights, which I think is really important. There were obviously some people that were hoping that they would end up on Wednesday to go head to head with Dynamite, and I'm all about competition in pro wrestling, but I'm kind of over at this point, like people having to be on the same nights as others to compete for to split the wrestling crowd and stuff. I mean, I think that Thursday, I mean, yes, there's a Ring of Honor as well, which somebody like me watches more frequently on a Thursday than TNA just based off of what I have access to, uh, AXS to, and I think it's a good thing. It's really I hope some changes happen with like production and look and things like that, kind of freshen things up again a little bit. Um, I also hope that the reliance on some of the WWE people goes down a little bit, because I do think the partnership has certainly been helpful in a lot of ways. This is a key example of that. But you also have to make your roster look strong. And I did not see last night. I watched Ring of Honor. I did not see any of the TNA Plus special last night, but I know they lost again another championship to somebody from NXT. And I I don't know how much more of that we really need.
Yeah, yeah, they don't need to stop sharing that stuff. But yeah, that was Stax Lorenzo there, Channing Lorenzo beating Steve Macklin for the international championship, going now to the NXT. But yeah, that was last night, final resolution. It was an opportunity for them to celebrate a little bit. I noticed in the video package when they announced it that Cardona was in the video, and Cardona wrestled last night against Mance Warner in a street fight, and won. And it's like, so guessing Cardona might have a TNA deal now. I don't know or not, but I mean, if they're showing him in the video,
I know there's no way he's not with him specifically. He's not signing a deal. The only place that he's going to sign a contract at this point is to go back to WWE. But I mean, these companies have enough respect for what he brings to the table that they're willing to book him without locking down a contract or whatever. But he wants to keep his options open, which I do think is the best thing for him. Obviously, recently got to make the Zack Ryder appearance and stuff, and I think TNA using him is smart. Him and Mance with Steph, it's kind of familiar stuff to what we've seen a lot of in GCW in recent years and stuff, and it's good to see Mance and Steph getting that TV time as well. So kind of keep freshening up the roster a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Cardona still, he's got that special ability to pop up literally anywhere. I mean, in 1 year time, doing that WWE appearance on, what was that? I don't remember if that was SmackDown or whatever, but like that he's at AEW. He had the Ring of Honor chance at Final Battle last year. NWA, I think, within the last year. GCW, TNA, pretty much everywhere that you can think of. I don't know if he's done MLW in the last year or not, but um, I love that. I mean, that's something that we didn't really see much of for many years in wrestling, but kind of, go do something in a territory and then go somewhere else for a bit and do like keeps things fresh.
I mean, that's a Vince McMahon thing. I think he started that whole, don't cross streams and don't, we're not going to acknowledge anybody but us, and I think that's kind of got thrown out the door a little bit. In fact, last night on SmackDown, they had the finals of the My Time Is Now tournament, which was between obviously between Gunther and LA Knight. And then they talked to LA Knight about the mystery opponents that he had to wrestle twice in this tournament. Well, of course, obviously, one was Zack Ryder, which is very, they still bring it up. And obviously, Zack Ryder's like, he said they allowed him to sell his merch too when he made his appearance there, which was interesting because they're so protective of their merchandise and everything. So yeah,
Well, they made merch for him.
Oh, that's
which is
right.
weird. They came out with like 3 WWE shirts for him, and it's like, well, you came out with these obviously after his appearance because it was a surprise, but you're not using him again. Obviously, he was going to lose that match and stuff. So it's interesting. I mean, if the merch is gonna sell, put it out there. Rule number one in wrestling. So, and I'm sure some of the first Zack Ryder merchandise in however many years probably sold pretty well. So
I remember seeing a shirt with a woo 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 on it. So it's he must have dug it out of the warehouse or something, But yeah, no, kudos to them. Kudos to TNA. We'll see what how this changes things, if anything. Maybe not. I don't think so. But the interesting thing on we did bring up that they had a show last night, Final Resolution. It was their final, obviously their final pay-per-view of the year, and it allowed them to highlight a lot of people. Some people are not under contract. I believe the Rascals, none of them are under contract to TNA. I think that I was
I think
reading.
they're up at the end of the month, so basically
Yeah,
the same thing. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. And they, but they did get a win, obviously, over the Mustafa Ali led group of Order 4. But I saw that on the pre-show, and I wish I had watched this. I did not, unfortunately. The System took on Bear Bronson, Brock Anderson, and CW Anderson. It's like, whoa. And they were doing like a six-man tag, but it was like, it was almost like it's old school, Anderson brothers type thing. Which was pretty cool. I mean, we haven't seen Brock since he left AEW. What was it, maybe a year ago? I can't remember. I know it's been a
Maybe
while.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, but CW Anderson, I haven't seen him on TV since ECW was on TV, so that's been a long time there too as well. But that was, I think that was surprising on the show. It was a good show. It looked like it was a good show, and of course, you watched the Ring of Honor show. I had two friends that were in the front row in different areas of that show last night, and it was like obviously it was Ring of Honor's Final Battle 2025, which looked like a great show. I mean, Monet loses on this show. There's some stuff that, Red Velvet beating Monet, I thought was very surprising, but obviously Eddie Kingston wrestling on the show as well. Athena, of course, wasn't now Athena, got to be record long time for that.
Yeah, she's the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion of anything, of any title in history. Because she won that women's world championship at Final Battle in 2022.
Yeah, 3 years now. Yeah.
Beat Mercedes Martinez for it in 2022. Then Final Battle, she defeated Billy Starks 2023, defeated Billy Starks 2024. Still don't understand that decision. And then beat Persephone in the main event last night in another good match. But it kind of, I don't know, the way they had built things up with like an actual story with Athena and Billy for the while, like that, I still do not understand why they didn't do the title change a year ago there. But because again, they went into this what ended up being the last match of the night last night, which you could argue that Final Battle is their biggest pay-per-view every year. I kind of see it as that. And there wasn't as much of a story at all with Athena and Persephone. Like they tried a little bit, but it's like it felt like 1% of the story of Athena and Billy. And so going into it's just like, well, Persephone's not going to win this. Where like last year was like, all right, this is going to be the end of Athena's long reign. So Athena's definitely been the MVP of Ring of Honor, no doubt about it. But really good show overall. And I think I'm not too surprised by Mercedes losing to Red Velvet. I think like the way they've kind of built that up, and there was the title unification with the interim title and all that. And I just, obviously I'm a little curious where things are. I don't know if we're too far away from this Mercedes starting to lose titles here and there thing, which is a good thing. I think you can totally keep winning and losing titles and kind of keeping that fresh as well. But really good show last night. There's still a couple matches I got to go back and watch. Thoroughly enjoyed. Like I have not seen the Nigel McGuinness, Lee Moriarty 30-minute Iron Man yet. I will be watching that today. Show the pay-per-view itself opened with the women's pure title tournament finals with Deanna and Billy, which as I expected, Deanna won that, and it's great to see a moment of any kind for Deanna for the first time in a while. That was a really, really solid match between those two. That was maybe my favorite match of the night. Survival of the Fittest was really good for the world title on the men's side. And Dalton Castle and Ricochet was fun, including some familiar face boys getting from the indie scene getting beat up and stuff during the match as well. But this trio of Dalton and the Outrunners, I am thoroughly enjoying. So there's a lot. Ring of Honor had like 2 TV shows this week, one on YouTube and then the regular one, and then this as well. And they put out a lot of really solid content this week.
Yeah,
John Moxley was doing commentary last night and stuff. I mean,
Mox. Who can forget on Dynamite this past week with him giving the finger to Claudio as he's going around in the spin. That was he had a wild week. But I do want to mention that also that man, Sammy Guevara wrestled twice on that show. Obviously,
Twice this year that he's had the double duty pay-per-view type situation with what he had with All In on the AEW side. Yeah, him and Beast Mortos last night they won the
Ring of Honor
tag
World.
titles that they had to vacate, or that Sammy had to vacate, like again with the injuries and stuff. This time the injury to Roosh, similar to the previous injury with Dustin Rhodes. And then yeah, they were both in that six-way elimination survival of the fittest match for the men's main event, basically, which was, I mean, the talent in that match was out of this world. Bandito is Bandito has really made a name for himself in terms of contender for Wrestler of the Year, in my mind. And a lot of people probably haven't seen too many of his matches. Maybe just the tag title defenses and win and stuff, whatever. But his Ring of Honor stuff specifically this year has just been. He might get my vote for Wrestler of the Year. Honestly, I'd have to think about it quite a bit, but he's the first name that comes to mind. So
Yeah, it's been in I mean, he was obviously AEW tag champs for quite a while, and now being the Ring of Honor a world champ now doesn't hurt, that's for sure. Yeah, and it was originally supposed to be Bandito against who was it got hurt? I'm trying to remember.
Roosh.
Oh, that's right. Roosh was supposed to, supposed to be one-on-one
Yeah.
with them, which I'm sure would have torn the house down as well. Definitely without a doubt. But yeah,
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that would have been awesome, and hopefully we get that again at some point. But be like, oh, sorry, you're not getting that match, but now you're getting a match that's Bandito and Sammy Guevara and Beast Mortos and Blake Christian and Hechicero, who's had a great year, and Commander. That was fun.
And this had a great pre-show too, because one, we got to see Ace Austin wrestle, which we were talking about last week, where he disappeared to, and that but we also got to see the Death Riders defeat the Grizzled Young Veterans, which those guys kind of they reside in Ring of Honor. Layla Gray and Zeta Steel had a match, as well as the Outrunners taking on the Premier Athletes. So it looked like a great show. I do want to mention also, I mean, obviously we're going to recap some of the pay-per-views. There is a couple more things going on. We have NXT Deadline going on, which is I think is going to be tonight. Is it? Yeah, tonight. It's going to be tonight on Peacock, and you have to pay for Peacock if you want Peacock. But we had two shows back to back, so it must have been a tough night for you to freaking figure out what to watch. It was like,
well, yeah, I mean, that makes a big weekend or a big couple days in wrestling, because you've got last night Ring of Honor, TNA, SmackDown. GCW is in Seattle at 11 Eastern. And then today, if you're saying there's NXT, there's live Collision tonight. There's, I think TNA will be doing a taping. So that doesn't count with this, but, you
right.
got GCW in LA, which is always a big deal. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. It's
So before we jump into a more, I do want to just go back and talk about one thing that happened last weekend, and that was Survivor Series. And we don't need to talk much about it. The only thing
I got roped into watching it.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So
no, that's not my reaction.
Well, I will say one thing. I did not like the men's match. Okay. I when you can tell when creative is hurting, that they bring in the mask guy at the end to kind of cause the end of the match. And that's kind of what happened. And now we have the mystery who the mask guy is, even though it looked exactly like Randy Orton covered up. But
Austin Theory.
Yeah, or Austin Theory, both the same, same style, body style, but doesn't matter. They didn't even delve on it at all this week in their TV stuff. So it could be completely forgotten at some point, but I'm sure it'll come up eventually, and it'll be a heel turn for somebody. And that's why I was thinking it was gonna be Randy Orton. But beyond that, I thought the women's match was fantastic. But they kind of go back to the old things. Obviously, every year we gotta see someone in a garbage can come flying off the top of the ring. Eventually, it's going to happen every match when they do this, and it's happened now again. What 3 years in a row that Io Sky dresses up in a garbage can, and lands on everybody. But
So, I'll preface this by saying if I have to pick something nice to say about the show, the Cena Dom match had some creative moments to it. So that was fine. I don't think the match was perfect, or as good as I did also see like the first match they had. But that was in my mind's probably the best part of the show. I hated the women's
oh, really?
match. I hated it. I didn't like the men's. I hated the women's. I honestly, looking back at it, and I mean, there are some people, or at least a couple people, that I really like in that women's War Games match. And I had no interest at all in watching the Stephanie McCur Nikki Bella match because of the latter. But I, honestly, like 12 minutes of Stephanie McCur match or 41 minutes of the same old crap in the women's War Games match. I'll take that singles match.
Sure, sure.
As crazy as that is to say, to me, you mentioned like the men's match was lazy and was very much the same thing with people, similar groupings and stuff. The women's match to me was just like, I don't know, the way like the baby faces just kind of doing what they want to do and smiling, and like it just, there was nothing fresh about it. There was no, it just didn't have the same feel. I thought it just went on and it was just nothing good. I think there were some people that weren't very good in the match. I'm always gonna like Rhea, and obviously I really like Charlotte's work for the most part and stuff, but a lot of that was just, I think it was the worst women's War Games match yet. And it not to sound tribalistic or anything, but to compare that match to the women's blood and gut match from a couple weeks before, I mean,
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah, a big
that's
difference.
night and day.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're correct. That's all I thought about too. Is it's like, what's the difference between blood and guts and this? Nothing. It's the same match, it pretty much.
Well, there was no blood
Yeah,
and no
besides
guts in
besides
the on
none
the
of that. Yeah,
WWE side. That's for sure. I mean, the worst part, like in fairness to the women in that match, the worst part of the night was Jey Uso's yeeting in the middle of a War Games match.
oh my God, that was terrible. Yeah, I mean, the whole stop everything, stop everything, all the action in the ring, stop everything. It was like,
I don't
oh,
want to be the guy that like just hates on like fun and stuff, but that if there is ever a time not to do that, it is in the middle of a main event War Games match. Um, I just, man, I can't stand that. That's one of the things that I'm like so happy that I don't regularly see as somebody who does not normally watch WWE these days is that yeeting crap.
yeah.
So
There's a couple,
I
and I think Jay is well on his way to being a bad guy, so that yeet will disappear soon, hopefully. But
I don't know.
there's a couple things.
It's a show. I don't always want to be negative about it. I really don't. I'm trying not to be, but like, I wasn't planning on watching it. I did end up seeing the whole thing,
Yeah,
and I'm sorry. That was such a like, it was such a waste of time. And I have seen some other recent WWE PLEs, and so like to somewhat try to sound like not just a hater, like other ones were decent or a lot better than this. I hated the show.
yeah. I was gonna say, there's a couple things stood out on me. One, um, when one thing happened in the Dom Cena match is when they feigned Dom getting hurt doing the
Mm.
same thing that happened with Penta on TV like the week before. And so it was like, so they felt that, taking advantage of the seriousness of the whole thing, but it allowed also for like, Dom's whole crew to come in and put their finishers on John Cena, which I
Well, it's
didn't.
interesting that you point that out because that to me is one of the first parts of that match that comes to mind, where it's like, okay, they handled that really well. But if they just done the same thing on TV a week before, then come on.
Yeah, yeah, that week before. Yeah, except for they wouldn't let the match continue the week before, so it was like they kind of took advantage of the seriousness of what happened by not doing. But I mean, it looked like so much the same thing too. The way he went down into the mat. So,
Mm.
that I mean, yeah, there was some fun with the people coming out and giving John Cena having to fight like six people at one point, and then obviously Liv Morgan showing up, after going and making a movie for the last like 6 months or whatever it was, and now she's back. But that I also think that Braun Breaker taking the Doomsday device and landing.
Ugh, that
Yeah,
yeah, I did not expect him or them to let him continue at that point.
they didn't for a
Um,
while, that's for sure. He kind of
yeah,
got isolated for a while. They would not let him do anything, and then they did. But it's like, yeah, that was just it was he landed high on his head, back of his head, and his
yeah,
shoulder.
it didn't look good.
Yeah, that was, and it's so that was kind of something that stood out too as well. But yeah, there was a lot of, I just I felt ripped off at the end of the men's match because it's like they get to a certain point and everyone's in. Okay, so how much longer it's going to go? And then they have the mask guy come in because creative is hurting so bad to make anything interesting that they have to do that. And that's exactly how I felt when I left. And it's like overall, no, the four matches on the pay-per-view, and yeah, I was more happy with the one-on-ones than I was with the War Games
Yeah.
matches.
Well, I think that this we've talked about it over the years now. This is yet another example of, can we please stop having a scheduled date ahead of time for a pay-per-view or PLE that is named after a gimmick match specifically? This was the best example of a forced War Games match. Oh, we got a show called War Games. It's the words on the poster, so we've got to have the match. And of course, like now, like we've got to have two of them on the same night. Stop doing that. Like, do you can do a men's War Games and a women's War Games once a year. I'm fine with that. But like, they don't necessarily have to be the same night, and they don't need to be at a date that everybody knows it's going to happen. Be like, okay, well, now they're clearly these people are coming out now on this TV show because they're going to start to set up who's in the War Games match, and then they're going to have the match, and then they're going to go back to their normal thing, and nothing's on the line, and whatever. Like, it's just so, these big, brutal matches need to be blow off matches to big feuds that warrant using it. And I don't care if that's, um, to me, that's War Games, that's Blood and Guts, that's all sorts of matches like that where they don't. It does not need to be like, oh, November's coming up, so we got to get some War Games teams
Yeah.
together.
Well, what's on the
Like,
line? What was on the line
nothing.
for either? Nothing. So it's like then we just had to create teams, and then I'm listening to Triple H speak after the match, saying, "Well, this is the
Of
most
course.
talent we've ever had for War Games matches. This is the most talented War Games match that we've ever had." And it's like, but there was nothing on the line. You could have put like you said, you could have put this on any other pay-per-view as an undercard match or something, or even a final match.
Give the fans a War Games matches on one of the nights of WrestleMania or something. It does not need to be its own show, like that. And um,
There's nothing on the
in
line.
a less gimmicky fashion. Like, you don't need, like, War Games should be something where it's just like, this is such a heated blood feud. Like, there's nothing else that can contain this. Like, we need War Games, whatever. Like, okay, great. Like, if not the case, it's just like, we're gonna put some random baby faces together and some random heels together and go back to traditional Survivor Series matches, or stop calling it Survivor Series because it's not. It's just, I'm so sick of that being the, like, I would love at some point for one of these companies to surprise the viewers when somebody gets on the mic and says either War Games or Blood and Guts or Hell in a Cell or things like that. Like, when it pops up, it's like, oh wow, they're gonna do that. That's awesome. As opposed to being like, we've got Hell in a Cell pay-per-view coming up, we've got War Games coming up, we've got Blood and Guts coming up, all this stuff. Like, it's just forced.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and plus, I mean, yeah, obviously the match has to have two rings, so it's like it's really hard. It would be
Right.
hard to surprise somebody with at least the War Game style match. But there's people. who are
Yes.
diehard fans of NWA who don't even feel these are war game matches anyways because they have the capped cages from war games from the NWA days.
Yeah.
Made it
No, I
even
mean there
harder.
is something. I mean it would be difficult to pull off if you had like tickets already on sale for a show and you look at the seating chart and there's two rings or something. I mean there are obviously logistics to this. You can't you can't hang all of these extra heavy cages in just any old arena. Sorry, you're never going to get War Games or Blood and Guts or Hell in a Cell or any of this stuff at the Blue Cross Arena at Rochester War Memorial. Not going to happen. But like, it's still there are ways to do that, and there are, you can build up to being like, oh, this is like going to be a big match, and then you announce it. You still have a while till it happens, and you put tickets on sale. You put it in a major market that's got the arena that can do it, and people are just like, oh, I need to see this match. This has been built up so well. I'm buying my tickets,
Yeah.
as opposed to being like, oh, these tickets are going on sale in a year and a half for War Games. Get your tickets now, and we'll a couple weeks out from the show, we'll throw maybe the week of the show, we'll throw some people together on teams, and you'll get to see it, and it'll be there. Like,
Yeah.
no thanks.
Yeah, that's my beef is that usually in the war games, like in the old school NWA war games, these groups had a beef against each other for months and months and months. It wasn't like something that where oh, who's going to be the fifth member? It's like, well, if it's a good guy team, it's going to be a good guy. If it's a bad guy team, it's going to be a bad guy. So, it's like, and there's no rhyme or reason to what there was no, that was my beef. And
Well,
it's like,
and
and they're
there's
selling the
some
match. They're selling the match over. They're selling what's going on in the match. They're like, oh, the double ring, giant cage. I mean, the cage got 8 minutes of entry time. Every time it came down. It was like, it was.
well, in once in a great while, there is something that's entertaining about like people being on the same team and having to work together, but they've been, going at each other for so long or whatever. Like now at this point, like you see like Cody and Roman with the Usos and then Punk in the mix and like all that. And it's like, this is just like they didn't like have some like great storyline that brought them all together. Now they're just throwing on a team together. It's like, this doesn't, these guys hated each other. Now we're supposed to believe like they're just all happy, like, oh, let's go wrestle together. No.
They spent that whole time in that last match to get that 2 seconds of audio of Roman Reigns saying, Cody, we're never teaming again. And that, because they spent so much time with the camera setting up him saying it, and it's like, and then all of a sudden you could hear in the ring, that, and then it just was ridiculous. I mean, ridiculously dangerous as well, because it's a very dangerous match when you're involving two rings and, 10 people
Well,
in a
it can
match.
be.
Yeah, it can be.
Or it can be the really safe, like no reason for a cage
Yeah.
where they don't do anything with it stuff. And I don't know. Luckily, the actual match itself, I've kind of blocked out of my memory already. So
It was, yeah, it just, I at the end, and the bad thing is I had like a head cold since like Thanksgiving. And so I wasn't feeling great watching it. And it's like, it's like, I felt like it was like, just lazy writing, lazy way to finish it. It was, I don't know, especially, and it was Punk, the one who got stomped on, obviously, and got pinned, but it was, I don't know. It's supposed to be something that was going to lead people to WrestleMania, and it's like that whole sound piece they needed to get from Roman at the very end, saying, telling Cody he's not teaming with him, but Punk's okay, and shakes his hand or whatever. It was like,
well, and
basically,
I'm fine with it, but like, is that the smartest decision with all these people in the match or whatever? And out of the 10 people, your world heavyweight champion is the one who's taking the pin.
True. Well, it wasn't Cody, and he's like I think I always value his title higher than the world championship title because
Yeah.
it's, and he didn't, but it was, I don't know, it's just, it was a lot, especially, and then after the match
Well,
was,
especially now that Punk's holding that one. I mean,
well, they spent so long after that match to get to that point where they were, they wanted to get that sound piece before they clicked off the show. And it's obvious. This is what my prediction is. It's setting up, obviously, Cody and Roman at WrestleMania for obviously Cody's title. If they're not going to cooperate anymore, the big thing is who's the face and who's the heel when it comes down to that. And that's, I guess, we got 6 months to figure out, or whatever, 5 months to figure out.
I'll tell you, there's the one thing, like watching Survivor Series and that ending of the show. And I can tell you specifically, like among the people watching it was Ash, who we've mentioned, obviously produces GCW and a lot of shows, including a lot of shows that I do play by play on. So he's in my ear a lot with stuff or whatever. And so it's interesting for us to watch this, like the match is over and then it's just going on and on. And
Yeah, they're
normally
just
at this
hanging
point,
out.
somebody's yelling in my ear, like take us off the air, like whatever. Like you got 5 or 10 seconds, like there's a copyright screen, like we're out. And like leave them wanting more, leave them ready to tune into the next show. These WWE shows now, for whatever reason, it's just like on and
Yeah.
like, oh, we're not going off the air. It's like, is something else happening? Or are you just wasting time? And like, isn't this the time where normally you'd be like rushing off the air? We'll see you next week. And then like ushers are like, go home now.
Yeah, get out of
Instead,
here.
it's just like, well, they must be doing something because we're waiting and we're waiting. Oh,
There's still a
nothing's
cameraman
happening?
in the ring with them too. You know, there's
Oh,
still
there's the credits on the screen. There's Paul Levesque's name once again,
a guy named
and
Phoenix.
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Dumb.
yeah. I agree, and so I think we agree on how bad
That was
that.
like the Attitude Era when like JR would be screaming a mile a minute, like going off the air, whatever, and like, oh man, I can't wait for Raw next week. Got to
was
see what
quiet.
happens.
Absolutely quiet. They weren't doing any commentary. Well, they were waiting for it to shut off. Yeah, it's
Oh,
there was a
this
couple.
guy's shaking this guy's hand or whatever. Like, oh, this is how great this is. Like,
It's like episode 1 of Star Wars when they, oh, good, 45 minutes of congressional debates. Yay! That's what I went to see a Star Wars movie for. You know.
it was like if the ending of Saturday Night Live like went on for 10 minutes, like oh, we're shaking hands, we're hugging or whatever. Oh, what a great performance. You did great tonight, blah blah blah. And it's like, go off the air, dude. Like let the people in person see that, fine. But like, am I allowed to change the channel yet? Like, well, hold on, it's not over yet. Like maybe somebody else is coming out or whatever. No,
Yeah.
no, like
No, they just it was just it was
ugh.
bad. It was so let's get past that. Get that bitter taste out of our mouth because you know I just there's a lot of, I've not seen anybody who said it's been a great show. So it was like it's
No.
obviously and once
That
again
always makes me feel a little better. It's not me just being a hater, but like all the people who almost everybody. I gotta have a word with Super Beast
uh
because he said he had a Facebook post after the show that called it cinema. I'm gonna have a talk with him about that today because I want to know what exactly was good about that.
cinema. Okay, so speaking of cinema, let's move on because I wanted to talk about one thing before I get to the news, and that's the big news that happened yesterday, 2 days ago. Yesterday. Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers Discovery. Netflix, who obviously where you watch Monday Night Raw if you're watching it, or as well as like Stranger Things. I just watched the half of the season, the newest season. Very good show. But they made an announcement that they are exclusively acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery and HBO Max. They said it'll probably take about a year to 18 months to figure out all the details of everything, but it's now an exclusive negotiation deal. So it's Paramount wanted it too as well, and they kind of got excluded from it. There's a lot of people not happy about this. They feel like it's a you know that they have they did a monopoly on this, and I don't know if that's true or not, but it just
That
makes
I, yeah, that, I'm not gonna say monopoly because how many different streaming apps do we all have to subscribe to? We're far away from a monopoly where almost it'd be like the one time it'd be like, oh, okay, so we don't have to pay for 18 different apps anymore.
I will say if you own Netflix, if you owned Warner Brothers Discovery shares, if you had like any investment in them, they got paid out $28 per share to take over the company, which is we're talking like what about $82 billion investment.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of cash, yeah.
So and I think they didn't say that. I think they said something about Discovery being maybe not being part of the deal. So, but the Warner Brothers, obviously, the Warner Brothers movie making, TV making, as well as HBO Max. But that does include a place where AEW runs their shows, and that's HBO Max. They run their shows on there, and so it's curious to see them. You know, they own, obviously they run Raw. They don't own it, but they run WWE Raw. But they do have exclusive rights on the AEW programming. So it's going to be curious to see what happens with this negotiation and everything. But
So are you telling me that I'm gonna finally get AEW Dark back? Let's go.
Maybe, who knows? I think one thing you'll get is you might be watching everything on Netflix, if you like wrestling. So it'll bring them all together.
I mean, the most important part of all this to me is that this does not include TBS and TNT in terms of the actual like networks itself. Like the HBO Max part obviously is a big question mark what's going to happen on the streaming side of things for AEW, but with Netflix not acquiring the actual like networks in this, like they get the studio stuff and they get movies and they get the apps and stuff, like that's fine. If I, obviously there would be some concern about like the app situation if you're Tony Khan and AEW management, but to me the most important part is like AEW's got a TV deal with TBS and TNT that goes through late 2027, I believe, and like that's not changing at all with this. So, um I don't think it's as big of a deal as initial reactions were, especially to people like before they read any press releases and things like that. It just it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the apps, but that's not the end of the world one way or another anyway. Because I mean, how many times have this company doesn't have an app? Now they have an app. Now they switched from their own network to Peacock to Netflix, but like it's to YouTube. Like that's fine. That's not as big of a deal to me.
So Jeff in our chat room said the thought is that there will be an HBO tile in Netflix. So if you go to Netflix, it'll give you an option to go to HBO if the deal is completed. Oh, so one less streaming service to buy. But yeah, you said you're right. TNT and TBS and other channels aren't included in the streaming on HBO Max. Will be in, so it'll be interesting.
If they were included, it would be a gigantic
Yeah,
situation.
but
I mean,
just the properties that they're picking up, they're if you look at the list of what they'll be able to stream now on Netflix, it's amazing. I mean, it may be monopoly is a strong word, but yeah, like it's going to take a while too. Like I said, between a year and 18 months to figure out everything. So nothing to worry about, but it's interesting, but then I think neither WWE nor AEW's broadcasting rights fall within this period. So I think that everything should be fine with both groups.
yeah,
But
I mean, who knows next time around anyway? I mean, there could be changes on those fronts as well. But no, the amount of WWE tribal is just like this is the end of AEW. Like AEW is dying. Like, look, they didn't even mention AEW in the graphics and stuff. It's like
they didn't mention WWE
because nothing's
either.
changing.
Yeah,
Like,
they didn't mention like the current things they have, and WWE was not mentioned. So yeah, it's just because it's a small part of a big deal. In fact, if anything, it's funny is I was looking at the numbers drawn by WWE in the last 2 weeks ago, and they weren't very big, and it was compared to what they've had. It was out of the top 10, but then again, a lot of people attribute that to Stranger Things probably dominating the top 10 of Netflix streams in the last 2 weeks because people have been waiting 3 years for this TV show to come on again, and so they binged it like me. So, but yeah, we'll see what
I don't
happens.
know. I don't remember last. Well, I started to rewatch Trailer Park Boys, and then I kind of took a little break from it because the stuff came out with Bubbles.
Yeah, Bubbles. Yeah,
The stuff came out with Mike Smith. Yeah, and then
Bubbles. Bubbles is a character.
yes, and well, which of course with that we'll mention like immediately those same people I just referred to like pull up the clip of Bubbles backstage in Toronto at AEW All Out and like,
Yeah.
oh, look at AEW employed him or whatever. First of all, nothing was out there at that point. This was months ago or whatever. Like, stop reaching with that. But nobody wants this with Kristen Bell and why am I blanking on and Adam Brody. I binged that recently on Netflix. I recommend that to anybody. That was they're 2 seasons down. Very, very good. Very quick watch. Has nothing to do with professional wrestling whatsoever. But
The Bubbles doesn't either, except for that brief.
he's the green bastard at times, supposedly.
Yeah,
So
right.
a little bit more of a wrestling time, but not really. Yeah.
True. And he did show up when they were in Toronto. So yeah, that, but Yeah, interesting. I wonder what brought us on the Bubbles tour. Oh yeah, we were talking about other things. But I do want to mention what was that? What some of the things we wanted to talk about today. I was trying to figure out what. Oh yeah, okay. So before we get to news and everything, like I said, we got tonight's NXT deadline. If you want to watch it, it's on Peacock. You have to pay for Peacock. Last night we
What if
got.
I don't want to watch it?
I don't know.
Sorry.
Last night we had Gunther beating LA Knight to take on John Cena a week from today at Saturday night's main event. And a lot of people, and all I've been seeing is sympathy, sympathy, sympathy for LA Knight. LA Knight, can't get through the glass ceiling. LA Knight, go ahead.
People get over this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like the guy's been around for forever, and I'm not like he's a good talent, but when I think of people who like he, I don't know. It makes me think of times in like the 90s where it was just like, how did Scott Hall never get the world title and this and that, or whatever. And it's like LA Knight is not to me like I understand we're in an era where a lot of people get world titles and stuff and become like the top guy for a little bit. And some of them you look back and you're like, why did this person have the world title at some point? I don't to me, LA Knight's not on the same level as other people. Like, yes, I'd rather see him than somebody else holding one of the titles we talked about earlier. But like, for the most part, like he's not on the level of Roman and Cody and all of these people. Like, it's just not. I don't. People want him to win all the time, and like, good for him at having these loyal supporters who continue to hope that the day is finally going to come. But like for me, like I'm fine if that day doesn't come. Like he can be a really solid like upper mid card guy that is one of the guys that doesn't necessarily reach the top, but still gets a lot of TV time and sells a lot of merch and has a good career.
He's over too, man. I mean, it's like,
So I
he is.
just, but do, like, maybe like, I'm sure there are plenty of people who genuinely want to see him as a world champion. I don't think he's, to me, like, he's in the same category of like giving the title to Jey Uso. It's like, okay, well, there's going to be a reaction. And then what? Let me be like, this guy's the world champion? What?
I saw somebody online point out that LA Knight's what 42, 43, and Gunther's like 38, 39. And it's like John Cena wants to put over young talent. Well,
Yeah.
those guys aren't the youngest talent that are in that company. So either of them, they would have been, I don't know if he's putting them over or what. I think there's going to be a swerve in the long run, and he's going to be wrestling one of the young guys from NXT or something. And because that's what I heard he wanted. He wants, and in fact, last night Cody said the winner of tonight's Obafemi Ricky Saints, sorry, match will get to take on Cody at Saturday night's main event. So, and obviously Ricky Saints is the NXT champion. And they both were on SmackDown last night, so they kudos to them. But yeah, the winner of that match will take on Cody. So it's supposed to be an NXT showcase for the last Saturday night's main event. It may draw record low numbers just because if NXT was doing super great, they would have high numbers every week, and they don't. So not to say that people don't like them, but you diehards, we used to be so into NXT like five
He
years
used to be
ago.
the number one show I would watch every week.
Yeah, yeah.
There was that time in the black and gold era. And now I was thinking about this the other night of like all of the weekly television produced in professional wrestling, both on big networks and just streaming and stuff. There are a lot of companies that are making weekly television products. And I'm sorry, like NXT is like literally at the bottom of my list of everything, which is not like I'm happy for all the people that really like it. And like I said, like there's some people that are there who I really like.
Yeah.
And I will, if a clip pops up of like a friend who's working down there or whatever, like I'll watch it or whatever. But like the TV show to me, it's just like it's insufferable. I just can't. Ugh. It's
Yeah,
rough.
it is, and it's been it's not the same, that's for sure. From when I mean Champa, and I mean all these guys who were super
Dude,
indie.
NXT back in the day, like the it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome for a while. It was so much better to watch at that point than Raw or SmackDown or Impact or the non-existent at the time AEW or anything. And now it's just I think I'd rather turn on Raw and like, yikes.
Yeah, yeah, you're getting a lot of the same folks. So it's like I mean they kind of bleed, there's people who bleed over. Apparently there's going to be a huge exodus from NXT to Raw and SmackDown coming up soon. I've heard through the, I've seen the rumor a few times. So that is, who comes up, who stays down, obviously. And, it's interesting, I'll give Shawn Michaels a lot of credit. He's taken WWE kind of formula and turned NXT into a WWE kind of formula, but without super strong talents just yet. It is work in progress for most of these people down there. But
It's crazy to think like if in the good days of NXT, if that was when we had a TNA crossover, like man, that would have been awesome.
oh yeah.
And now instead it's like I turn on TNA and I'm just like, who is Stacks? Like what, who are these people? What? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get it. Get it. They don't get much TV time either because there's like just so many people down in NXT that, Stacks was heavy duty when they were doing the whole Godfather Tony thing, a year ago or whatever. And it,
Oh, I thought you meant The Godfather.
oh, no, no, no.
Always fan of more Godfather.
Oh,
Once again.
So let me go through some news and we'll get out of here. If you're going to watch Collision tonight, you're going to get a live show, which is awesome. Got Takeshita versus Moxley in and these Continental Classic matches are worth watching. If they're starting up a show with them, I mean, you're seeing some matchups like we saw Pac and Okada
Yes.
on Dynamite this past week. Are you kidding me? It was like, and I mean, who does Pac lose to with that $1 million body? He can only lose to someone like Okada,
The old pot, the old Pac would lose to the big Pac. I don't know. Yeah.
Probably.
He's a monster. Like, what
would.
is going on? We talked about that briefly like last week, and then he pops up on TV this week, and I'm just like, how is he this thick? Like, what happened?
All that downtime from injuries, he's been in the gym, but he looks great. He looks fantastic, and it was a great match. And we're getting a lot like these Continental Classic Blue and Gold League matches are just fantastic. Got Claudio, of course, this past week on Dynamite beating Moxley, and it was a bloodfest there in the match as well. He's taking on Mascara Dorada in the Blue League tonight. We've got Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong in the Blue League tonight. Roderick is not a part of their group, apparently, after the promo last week.
Oh no, he's not. He's been campaigning that he's not.
Yes.
He kind of is, but he won't admit it.
Yeah.
I just want to say, yeah, from Dynamite to me, like going into that show, like looking at the card, I was just like, ooh, like there's a lot of weeks where I'm just like, I don't care about this card. And this week I was like, this is awesome. And then it was like, and I have to mention, like, I love seeing Dark Order back on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Been way too long. It was really cool to see that. Obviously, like the women's world tag title tournament is finally about to wrap up. I don't necessarily agree with all of the booking decisions in that tournament so far, but that's been entertaining. But honestly, like first thing that comes to mind from everything that was really good, I mean, Pac and Okada, Claudio getting a win against Mox, all this stuff. Kyle Fletcher and Kevin Knight. Let's get that rematch soon, please. That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, freaking head drop kick to the head. Oh my God, there's some awesome stuff. Yeah, without a doubt, man.
It was a really good Dynamite.
So we got Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong tonight. I can imagine how that's gonna go. That's gonna be fantastic. So Mercedes Moné and Layla Gray tonight for the TBS Championship. Swerve Strickland's going to be on. We're going to talk to Ricochet and a little update on Darby Allin, who technically was in the hospital. I don't think he's still there anymore, but he definitely technically was. Dax Harwood dared Austin Gunn to knock the AEW tag title off his shoulder again. I guess that's going to happen again tonight. This is live from Columbus, Ohio. This is a follow-up to last night's Ring of Honor show. I know, like I said, I had two friends who were in the front row of Ring of Honor, and it's like, man, I wish I could have like connected them because they're on opposite sides. But one of my friends who was there also used to announce for WCCW. He was their backstage announcer, and he hadn't done anything in wrestling in a very, very long time. But I was watching. I just mentioned to him yesterday that I was watching the Chris Adams on Dark Side of the Ring. and he's in it. He's definitely. They show him a couple times interviewing Chris Adams backstage because he used to work. Yeah, like I said, he worked there, but hopefully he had a good time. I did not hear back from the dude yet, but yeah, it's very cool. That's going on tonight, and then just to let you know, next week obviously is Winter is Coming, and I know that the
I mean, it's already here, but yes, it's
yeah,
coming as well.
it's been snowing here for a couple days. It's definitely here in
14 degrees and stuff. Yeah, no, it's here. Yeah.
So if you're gonna watch Dynamite, this is what you're gonna get, at least so far, what I've heard so far. You're gonna get Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston. They've been promoting it for a couple weeks now. Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa versus Will Nightingale and Harley Cameron in the tournament finals for the AEW Women's Tag Team Championship. By the way, Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa in that match on Dynamite. That was kind of crazy, it was, what was it? It was I forgot how they described the match. Everybody was in the ring at the same time. There was
like the name of the match, the holiday hardcore death match or whatever.
That's what it was. Yeah. So that was something, that's for sure. Was.
Well, and I think like to me, it's been obvious for a while that Tony and Mina are winning this tournament. I don't see Willow and Harley beating them, and that's fine. I mean, I like that like Mina and Tony have really put effort into this with their dance on their intro and everything and stuff. I mean, they're really like they're trying to make this look like a tag team. So I'm happy about that part. But between that final for the women's tag titles and the world title match there with Kingston, like so far to me, it's a pretty predictable Dynamite, but that's fine.
Well, also we have Hangman Page challenged Powerhouse Hobbs and Shibata to face him. Hinted that Swerve Strickland might be his partner in a match that was not official yet. Might be after tonight, I'm guessing. But it'll be live from Atlanta, Georgia at the Gateway Center Arena. And then they fly across to where are they going, to England? Is that where Cardiff? Wales, pardon me. And that's where part 2 of
the UK. You say the UK and you're safe.
Okay, yeah. Well, the UK. Part 2 of Winter is Coming with in Wales with Mark Briscoe versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship. That's next Collision, which would be a week from today, I believe. And then we have Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue, and that will be a week from tonight. But man, they've got some solid wrestling coming up. I mean, on the shows, I'm excited. I'm going to watch tonight.
Well, then after that, then we get a live Dynamite from Manchester, I think. Then they come back and do the tapings, the shows at Hammerstein.
Yeah.
And then go right into World's End and stuff. Like this is gonna be a good month of AEW programming that's already started off. I'm always not the biggest fan of like the January, February time of year where like there's not necessarily a pay-per-view and things kind of drag a little bit. A lot of things reset or whatever. But this December itself specifically, I think is going to be really big stuff.
Oh yeah, I definitely. So yeah, that's exciting. A bunch of stuff going
on. And on New Year's Eve, they're in Ralston, Nebraska, which I have been to that arena in Ralston, Nebraska more times than I care to think about. But when you think of where do I want to celebrate New Year's Eve, let's go to suburban Omaha.
There you go.
So what a way, after they do all of this like Hammerstein, Wales, England, all this stuff, then Omaha, get ready.
Woo, Omaha. Yeah. All right. And what's his name?
It is one of my favorite junior hockey rinks. I will say that. I'll give him a little credit. But it's not exactly Madison Square Garden.
Got Peyton Manning yelling Omaha, Omaha. All right. Well, just not to disregard what's going on in WWE, but a week from today is Saturday night's main event. Right now, we only have a couple matches, obviously John Cena versus Gunther, but it's interesting this past week that WWE has put the on sale tickets for the first Raw after WrestleMania 42. And lo and behold, John Cena is in the advertisement for Raw. So, and John Cena actually kind of made a statement and goes, once you leave here, you don't really ever leave here. So that was his response to it.
Well, I know he was on Kimmel and was very specific of like, this is it. This is like my last match. Like I'm the exception to it. Like I will never wrestle again and
I
stuff. And
believe you.
I
Yeah.
believe him on that.
I believe he will not wrestle, but I think also he's going into the Hall of Fame
Yeah,
this year.
he's still gonna make appearances and stuff
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. He's going to Hall of Fame, and then this would be the night after WrestleMania that he would be there. So he, yeah, but that meant, I mean, it'd be ridiculous to think he wouldn't have anything to do with the company ever again, especially with him going into the Hall of Fame.
Can he go in the Hall of Fame though? Because like then the headliner can't be Stephanie McMahon.
It can't be.
So
Well, it's a shame. Too bad. I mean, I didn't vote for Stephanie. I don't know who did. Uh,
I think we know who did.
So some sad news for CM Punk and AJ Lee. His beloved dog Larry passed away this past week. So Larry, who was the center point of all these issues with AEW, biting somebody or whatnot 2 or 3 years ago. It was a rescue that he had gotten in 2015, and Larry's
Chicago Paws, great organization. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not a big fan of Phil, but Larry's a legend out there. So great to see all the tributes and stuff on that. So
yeah, and in fact, he wears Larry's owner or whatever on all his
Larry's dad.
Larry's
jacket.
dad on his sweat jacket. Yeah, yeah. So, sorry for the passing. Hopefully they'll get another dog. I mean, eventually. It's tough when you lose one. So, I did mention earlier WWE Raw failed to crack the top 10 on Netflix from the November 24th edition. But like I said, Stranger Things had like 4 episodes that were at the top 4. So, it kind of knocks everything else down, and they usually aren't number one. That's for sure. But
I know we talked earlier about popular TV shows I've never seen, and that's on that list. So
Stranger Things is worth watching. I mean, you know what? They're what?
I had to do an escape room once with some friends in England
Yeah.
that was Stranger Things themed, and I was like no help whatsoever. I was like, I don't know what the heck's going on, but are we gonna get out of this room or what?
Yeah,
We did.
You're here, so but definitely prove.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think they might let you out even if you don't win or whatever,
Yeah.
but maybe not. I don't know. Or
I
maybe
don't know.
that varies country to country or state to state.
If you ever been in the maze at the Renaissance Fair around here, I think there's still people lost in that. So, but I could be wrong. Congratulations are in order for Pat McAfee and his wife. They announced this past week they're having a second child together. So kudos, Pat McAfee. Does he come back to WWE now that college football is kind of coming to an end? We will see. I mean, there was no college football when he left. So I don't know if that's the case. I know they love him. So, the significant buzz surrounding the identity of the masked man who stormed into War Games main event at WWE Survivor Series. The mystery attacker blasted CM Punk with a super kick followed by repeated stomps. That leaves a lot of people wondering who does stomps, who looks like Randy Orton in a black costume, or Austin Theory. Could be either one. It wasn't Seth Rollins.
I mean, I've flat out heard that regardless of who it's revealed to be, it was in fact Austin Theory who actually did it. So.
Okay. Yeah, it does look like him too, because the way
But that doesn't make anything a guarantee. There's been plenty of situations before where somebody else has portrayed something, and
that if you ever watched, there was the Black Scorpion in WCW who was supposed to be someone else completely, and then Ric Flair was available, and all of a sudden it was Ric Flair under the mask. So stuff like that happens. So we got tonight. If you're gonna watch Deadline, I will go after this. NXT Deadline, you're going to see Ricky Saints versus Oba Femi for the NXT Championship. Javon Evans, Leon Slater, Joe Henry, and Dion Lennox versus Miles Bourne in an Iron Survivor Challenge match for a shot at the NXT Championship at New Year's Evil. Sol Ruka versus Lola Vice versus Kalani Jordan versus Jordan Grace versus Kendall Gray in an Iron Survivor Challenge shot for a shot. An Iron Survivor Challenge match for a shot at the NXT Women's Championship. Ethan Page versus Mr. Iguana for the NXT North American Championship, and Tatum Paxley versus Izzy Dame. And the winner of the NXT Championship match will face WWE Champion Cody Rhodes on next weekend's Saturday night's main event. So you want to definitely check that out.
Were those matches the pre-show, or that was the main card?
No, that was the whole thing. 1, 2.
I recognized a couple names in there.
Sol Ruka is going to be up on WWE TV very soon because everyone is in love enthralled with Sol Ruka and their ability. So her ability out there. So it's listen, Jordan Grace is in that match. So we get a couple 5. Iron Survivor
I heard you
Challenge.
say Ethan Page.
And Page versus Mr.
Yeah.
Iguana.
Man.
I know. You got to get to Santino Morella out there with a Cobra. And then, we've already done that, though. So that's about it for the news this week. I don't want to keep you guys much longer. I want to thank you all for there in the chat room there following along. We'll have plenty of news, but man, there was a lot of big news this week with the acquisitions and TNA moving and everything. So hope you guys all have a great wrestling weekend, and there's still wrestling tonight. Lots of wrestling tonight, so you can jump in. It's really cold out here, so get under a big comfy blanket and sit back and enjoy that. And we will be back next Saturday, same bad time, same bad channel. Have a great week, everybody. Happy holidays. See ya.